Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans, and in it you can find opinion articles, podcasts, including ours truly, and also modalidades, if you will. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/Benfica Independent, where you can get merch, you can sign to get exclusive content, and share your Benfiquismo.
Ser benfiquista é uma crença.
É uma religião muito grande.
A adesão a um culto. Que é liberdade, que é crer, que é vontade, que é o caráter das pessoas.
A alma de quem é grande, maior que os maiores.
É uma paixão com outra explicação.
Eu não consigo explicar o que é ser do Benfica. Eu sinto o que é ser do Benfica. É de facto uma paixão. E as paixões são assim, vivem-se assim intensamente.
Aqui não há nenhuma razão. É paixão, paixão, paixão.
Ser Benfica. Até à morte.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica Podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças, bringing you episode number 433 here in the Benfica Podcast. With me, the return of the Oliveras. Cristiano is right here next to me. What's going on, Cristiano?
What's crack-a-lacking?
We missed you.
I could tell.
But Timo did a good job filling in for you.
I mean, he's got a real beard. Why wouldn't he?
You got a fake beard?
Mine, I got a little peach fuzz.
Yeah, Timo's been at that for a while now.
You guys, make it. Tratas
And by the way, today is Timo's birthday, so happy birthday to Timo.
Happy birthday, Timo. I was actually looking forward. Dave, I was looking forward to listening to Timo on here tonight because I have no type of enthusiasm to come on here. And now, just before we pass it over to you, Dave, we're listening to this intro, and every single week we come here, dejected. And then we listen to that intro, and it gets us all into the mojo. And then as I'm starting to get into the mojo, it says, Benfica, até morrer. And it's like, that's what's going to happen to me one of these days. I mean, it's just going to give me a heart attack the way these guys have been playing. So, yeah, I mean, those words are, very true. But nonetheless, happy to be here. Glad the Freddies have joined us.
Diogo Reis, Carlos Amar, Bruno Gil Rodrigues. Welcome, and whoever else is watching us but hasn't jumped in on the chat, welcome. As you know, this is a weekly podcast that Cristiano and I and Dave de Oliveira do here on YouTube, and
not
you could
if
also
they tuned in last week, right, Dave?
not if they tuned last week. You weren't here.
Oliveira's right. You got to welcome Dave, man.
Oliveira. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Dave. What's happening, Dave? I know that you were out yesterday. Dave was out of the podcast, but he was on the comment box. He was on the chat.
I was with the Freddies.
He took the easy way out. He said, F these guys. I'm not talking about this depressing shit.
You know how a lot of times when things get real bad at a club, the owner goes, gets like some type of wig, some type of different outfit, goes in disguise into the stands. Dave, things have gotten so bad here on a podcast in Benfica land that Dave wanted to sit amongst the fans and get to feel what it's like to be on the outside looking in at this, clownery that is going on. That is
clownery,
right, Dave? Something along those lines.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, I couldn't miss out on the weekly therapy session. Just different therapists filling in. We had Timo taking our spots there, and shout out to Timo, like you said, happy birthday already. And guess we gave him the week off for his birthday, but great to be back on here tonight amongst Alfredo and Cristiano.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you guys back. Timo was great, as I mentioned, but the boys are the boys. That's how we do it. So anyway, on tonight's podcast. Did that sound cheesy or what?
That was beautiful, bro. I would have given you a kiss, but we're live.
On tonight's podcast, we will. We got a few things. I haven't decided yet in which order we're gonna go. But Moreirense recap, Aroca preview, Boa Vista preview, and Rui Costa interview.
Aroca. Let's talk about it. It's in Aveiro, my hometown.
Let's talk about Aroca.
Over malls, the beautiful river, the Muliceiros over there. I mean, beautiful city. We can talk about the city. How about we just talk about everything?
Well, I can let you talk about the city because I don't know much about the city.
It's beautiful. That's all we need to know. There's the Rio de Aveiro. It's Dave, like they say, it's the Portuguese Venice.
The Portuguese Venice.
Portuguese Venice.
Somebody just
not Aruca.
not
Not Aroca,
well,
but Aroca belongs in Aveiro. So
it's an insult. It's an insult saying that Aroca is the same thing as
I
Aveiro.
mean, come on, Dave. Come on. Aroca's got a first division club. Aveiro doesn't. All right. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, so
Beira-Mar is like fourth division.
Shout out to Beira-Mar.
yeah. So on this upcoming Friday, this is Tuesday as we record this, Benfica will travel up north to play Aroca in the next game of the Liga B win. Benfica will play on Friday because on Tuesday we will be playing
Everybody
the
be
semi-final.
winning, but Benfica.
Everybody. It's nice. Yes, Benfica will play on Friday because we'll play the semi-final of the League Cup on Tuesday, and the final will be in this upcoming weekend. So let's get into Aroca. Dave, what's Aroca up to this year? We've already played them once.
you're keeping me on my my toes here, jumping all over the place. But yeah, we already played them once. 2-0 win this year at the Estadio de Luz. Goals from Waldschmidt and Yaremchuk. Currently, they're in 17th position with 14 points, from 3 wins, 5 draws, 9 losses. So second last at the bottom of the table there. They've conceded the third most goals with 33 goals against, and scored the fourth least amount of goals with only 17 scored. Historically, against Aruca, 10 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. The loss coming back in August 2015.
Which I believe I was at.
You were at that
I
game?
was with Patrick.
Was that the game you went to scope out the field? Oh, that wasn't Tondela.
No, that was Tondela.
No, that was
No,
Tondela.
I was at that game with Patrick Hendrick, and yeah, we lost that game right at the beginning of the season, like you said, in August. And we'll never forget, man. It's just like one of those memories. We go out to game, expect to make these lifetime memories, and unfortunately, there's the negative ones, and you try to forget them as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So Aroca is actually the second worst defense when playing at home. What can we expect from this game? Not much, right? Because at this point, we never know what Benfica is going to show up.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say
thank you, Lord, for giving me the patience to put up with this bullshit.
No. I really want to say thank you, because I was saying it sarcastically, right? Let's talk about Aroca, just because I didn't want to talk about Benfica and football, and you actually listened to. I mean, thank you, Alfredo. Nobody listens to me nowadays, but you look. I don't know if you did it because you felt the pressure on live, but you did. So I just wanted to thank you, Alfredo.
Oh, you see this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
No, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean, there's other times you could have used that.
Look, for those of
I think the best way we could sum up this preview of this Aroca game is, look, brothers and sisters, going into this game, it is what it is.
we need to win.
It is what it is. All right, whatever happens, and the resto, olha.
Yeah, and for those of you that are joining us late, and we're going a different order today, so stick with us. We just started this about 9 minutes ago.
It's been 9 minutes.
9 minutes. We're trying to break a record
good.
today for the shortest podcast in the history of podcasts. So everybody, good night. See you tomorrow. Bye. So another game, and I think that if we didn't have any margin for error before this Moreirense game, now I was still counting.
What?
Have you given up on the season?
Alfredo, I mean, you get one of those, Medal of Honor medals, or whatever. Yeah, the Medal of Honor medals, because you try to come on this podcast a few weeks ago. You try to put on a good front, and how, Verissimo was doing a phenomenal job on the B team, and you try to be positive.
God knows,
But
I suffer enough with this
then,
Benfica.
it kind of told you I gave up, right then and there. I mean, I thought Benfica waved the white flag with his appointment. So, I mean, yeah, especially after that result against that phenomenal team, coached by the fantastic manager Sapinto at the start to lose last week. I mean, I think it's it's going to be very, very difficult for Benfica to turn this thing around. And I mean, say what you want, things weren't well with JJ, but it seems like they might be going backwards.
But I think that once there was obviously, and I'll ask you, Dave, how you feel about the left of what's left of the season, but the one thing that I wanted to say was that after we cut our deficit to Sporting last week
to 4,
there has to be a faction of Benfica fans, sausage, whatever, that thought, okay, here we go again. Are we up again for another miracle like we had with Lage? Because the circumstances are kind of similar, right? B team coach takes over the team, goes on it there, makes up a 7-point deficit and ends up winning the championship. So Verissimo being appointed, Sporting losing the game, us gaining 3 points on Sporting. We have to think that maybe there's an inkling, and I got to be honest. I thought that there was an inkling that we might just pull it off.
There's no way.
But at this point, there's a lot of things that we can take. I mean, one of the things that Chris said, the appointment of Nelson Verissimo until the end of the season is either something that you're just mad, right, or crazy, loco de cabeça.
I'm glad you said it in
you've
British, English, and Portuguese. That's fantastic. Mad, crazy, and loco. Okay.
That it's crazy because you have a chance here to still salvage the season. Instead, you put the guy that took over this team when Lage went down, and at the end of the Portuguese Cup said, "It is what it is."
Look, the similarities are there, and I'm trying to step.
But
in
just in similarities.
Similarities are there, right? Guy gets fired.
But that's
gets
where it
replaced
ends.
by his second. Exactly, gets replaced by the B team manager. You know, we're a shitload of points behind, and there's a possibility of a reviravolta. But the problem is that we already seen this picture before, and it didn't end. This movie, I should say, and it did not end well. So for you to expect it to end well a second time, I think that was very naive. Now, Dave, I'll be quiet for the rest of the pod.
Dave,
I'll let you speak.
What do you think? What are your hopes and dreams for the rest of this season?
What is this, a New Year's resolution?
My hopes and dreams are not to get too emotionally attached with this team, and I'm not ready to get hurt again. So when you were saying that we already made the 3-point deficit against Sporting, sure, that's when the club brings you back in. Okay, they're selling you on this hope that they can turn the 7-point deficit, and us being suckers, we bought into it. And then the next week they put on the performance that they did. So I'm not buying into this. I'm not getting emotionally invested. I'll still watch the games, but I'm telling myself that third place is cemented where we're going to finish here. I really don't think Sporting and Porto are going to slip up too often. And guess what? If they do, we're going to slip up more than they do. Just the law of averages. So I'm not ready to get hurt again by this team, at least this season. I'll be the pessimist and say we're going to finish third right here on January 18th. I'll go out on a limb and say we're finishing third this season.
Listen, since I don't have much positive or many positive.
What happened to positive Cristiano?
Positivity in my voice. I'll pose a question here real quick for both of you guys. And the Freddies at home, listen, feel free to chat. Appreciate your participation as well. Alfredo, this seems like it's doomsday all over again, right? And things are pretty bleak right now at Sport Lisboa Benfica. Do you, in your mind, is Benfica today in a tougher position than they were after Lage's departure, or are they in a better place today than they were when Lage left?
In terms of who's in front of the team?
Just the situation at Benfica. Let's forget about the first team, because look, at the end of the day, still it actually is, right. It's the same coach that replaced Lage. So I'm just talking about in terms of where the club is headed.
I think it's Benfica's in the worst position today than when Lage left.
And this is not about Lodge. It just
It's
happened,
not,
'cause
but
that was when Benfica really tripped and didn't get back up.
Yeah, the thing is that when you consider everything extra football, when you consider everything, the division in terms of the people that support Rui Costa and the people that don't, I think it's the worst that the club has ever been in terms of the divisiveness of it all. I think the season is done. I think that Benfica are worst off right now, and not even the fact that JJ is gone. Que houve uma chicotada psicológica. The players have not responded to that, which is sad because a lot of times, the intent of firing a coach is to kind of kick the team's ass.
But you say the word uma chicotada psicológica. You say that, but how could there be a chicotada psicológica when the players got exactly what they wanted? At the end of the
Yeah,
day,
you're right.
Uma chicotada psicológica is when the opposite happens of what you're expecting.
No,
Like, não, aqui, ouve lá. Isto é assim, boom, shout out. Eu é que mando aqui. That's uma chicotada.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Yes.
Think about this, right? What do you do to a horse when you want it to go faster?
I never rode a horse, bro.
Humor me.
Little pontapé.
Uma chicotada com pau, right?
Sim.
So what that is
No, I get that, but Alfredo,
I understand what you're saying.
Not what happened here. Because JJ's trying to give a chicotada by suspending a key player on the team.
No, the
That's a
chicotada only.
That's my way or the other. That's my eu é que mando aqui.
No,
Bora, cavalo.
a chicotada psychological only refers when there's a coaching exchange. I never heard it or mentioned that in that manner.
But they got exactly what they wanted, so I don't consider that uma chicotada. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I understand. And it's look, if they were unhappy with the coach, certainly, firing the coach was something that they wanted. So, all right, we got what we wanted. Let's move on. Let's do our job now that we got this out of the way, that we made this guy's bed and he's finally sleeping in it. Let's get into what we really want. Because if you think about it, when Rui Vitória went and Lage took over, that chicotada psicológica worked. Right? Because we saw a different team. We saw a team that spent the second half of the season just absolutely obliterating everyone. So in that aspect, it worked.
Okay.
Yes or no?
I mean, it worked. I mean, obviously it worked. There's no yes or no. It worked for a fact. But I don't know. I think Benfica went from a player manager to another player manager. Chicotada, in my mind, just worked differently. But, obviously my Portuguese is not as sharp as yours, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
And don't bother coming to me for Portuguese.
But look, I'll answer. I posed that question, and Dave, I still want to hear your thoughts. But I posed that question, and I'll give my quick answer to that. I'm a little bit more upset and more depressed and more hurt and today than I was a few years ago, because a few years ago I always had the hope that there would, possibly, if things really got bad, there would be a change at the top. And therefore there's always that glimmer of hope that there's change on the horizon. As we stand, there ain't no change coming up. So it makes me worry that this is the path that Benfica is headed, and nobody's going to be able to straighten this thing out.
Hugo's saying that our sound is cutting off a little bit. What do we sound like, guys? Let us know.
Bro, clean your ears.
Isso da internet, man. Dá-lhe força da internet, caralho. No,
I think
right?
it's we're in a worse position today than we were, what was it, 2 years ago, or however many years since Lage left, just because each year we don't win the title. That's compounded against the year, and it adds to the frustration and to the division amongst the club, right? So I think it's just already going on 3 seasons that we're not going to be crowned champions at the end. So each year Benfica aren't champions, this pressure builds, and this anger towards the club's directors builds as well, right? So I'd say we're in a worse spot now because of that compounded each year not winning and not winning, and also that investment that was spent as well. When Laj had left, we weren't in the market of spending 100 million on players, right? That came that summer after that Laj was fired. So we have that investment and we still have nothing to show for it. So I think the club is definitely in a far worse position than it was a year and a half ago.
When Laj took over, right? And he started, like, he changed the philosophy of the club at that moment, right? Which was, we're just going to get out. We're going to shove all the veterans out. We're just going to play the young kids. It was a total different mentality at the time. Could that be perceived at the time as Benfica was waving the white flag and they said, look, we're 7 points or whatever it is behind first place. If we overturn this, great. But if we don't, we're just going to worry about developing our kids. And we live to fight another day. And next season, we start from scratch. These guys will have more experience. And then the guy had a tremendous result. The kids all showed up to play. And Benfica just kept winning games and some more games. João Felix turned into, João Maradona. And it was just like a phenomenal end of the season. So the question is, was that then Benfica waving the white flag and got lucky that everything worked out? And now they kind of, wishing, lightning struck twice?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of wishful thinking that we could replicate what Laj did with Veríssimo. But it doesn't look to be the case, because when we start at a ground zero with Veríssimo and think to ourselves, we have no more error margin, we have to go. And now a second game in, and he's losing against the 14th place team.
Forget what place they're in. He lost to Sapinto, bro.
He lost to Sapinto.
That's a fireable offense. That's it.
That says it all. That's it. There's got. He lost to Sapinto.
That's it. No, they tied. They didn't even lose.
To me is a loss.
Yeah, whatever. But yes,
to me is a loss.
Sapinto got the better of us. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. But important game in Aroca. Look, I think that for the rest of the season, I'm throwing in a towel. What's today? January. It's
the 18th.
Yeah, it just the first round just finished. I can't remember last time that at the turn that Benfica was done. No Portuguese Cup. You got what, 10 points on Porto now?
We got Taça da Cerveja, man. Coming up, the Final Four, bro.
That's been our.
We're gonna play the Kentucky Wildcats, North Carolina Tar Heels, and the Duke Blue Devils. We're in the Final Four.
That's all that matters. It wouldn't surprise me if we lose to Boa Vista on Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday's the Final Four already.
Tuesday is the semifinal.
Yes,
and then the weekend.
Final Four, yeah.
Yeah, but look.
Do you want to beat Boa Vista and then run the risk of losing to Sporting in the final, or just lose to Boa Vista and get out of the put you out of a misery?
I want.
Just saying, dude. It's crazy, yo. Our podcast is taking a whole another direction here.
No, to me, it's just like and we were talking about this, right? And as you guys all know, it's becoming harder and harder to watch Benfica, let alone come and talk about it, right? Because it just brings up things, feelings that you felt at that moment. Even though that after we do the podcast, we feel better because we got a lot of things off our chest. Regardless, I don't know if I can handle another season of suffering like the one, the three we've had.
You know what they say in one of my.
What do they say
in one of my 13 hometowns?
Yeah, what do they say?
Remédio tens tu, pá.
That's going to be Veríssimo's next tag. Next tag phrase.
Tu gostas, comes. Não gostas, vais comer na mesma.
Não, põe para o lado.
Quem não gosta rouba para o lado. Mas a gente, we can't, bro. Estás lixado.
All right. So Aroca done. What's next? We got Benfica Moreirense. We got Rui Costa interview, or we got Boa Vista preview, the League Cup.
Let me get some popcorn. Hold on, before you guys start. Let me get the popcorn.
Dave, you get to pick.
Dave, hold on.
Here's what you got.
Do you think? Wait, before we move on to Aroca, do you think they're gonna go to that new bridge that opened up in Aroca, the world's tallest suspension,
and
just leave the club there? Don't even bother coming to the game. Just leave the club on the bridge as a team bond.
Whoever doesn't get across gets cut from the team right then and there. You see all the wusses. You all the week get cut out. But wait, Dave, before we get to choose our next topic. That's what I'd rather listen to this, man. This is more.
It's just
it's therapeutic.
Yeah. Look, you know, I think that you know, I don't know what everybody's expectations are, but for me, and we're kind of fortunate that Braga's been stuttering also, because otherwise we got Braga knocking on our door.
Wait, you're being too kind.
I'm being too kind.
You're saying Braga. You say we're lucky. We're lucky Braga has been started. No, what you should say is we're lucky Braga opened their legs to us and we spanked them 6-0 or whatever it was, or else things will be a lot tighter.
Yeah, but they've been opening up their legs for other clubs other than us lately.
Braga hasn't been doing too well. So Dave, what's the next topic? You got Moreirense, Rui Costa interview, or Boa Vista preview?
All I know is that all the Lagartos and the Tripeiros were crying about the 7-0 victory against the Belenenses B-side against the goal differential. Tanta merda para nada. We're not even anywhere near them. I mean, so much shit about the goal differential, winning a title. Now nobody's crying about it. Coitadinhos.
So what's it going to
be? Let's rip off that Band-Aid of that Moreirense game and just let's get it done and over with here.
All right, let's do it. All right, so Benfica played Moreirense in the first game of the second round of the Liga B win at Estádio da Luz. Benfica hosted Moreirense. I'll give you the lineup and we'll get going. Vlaco Dimos was in goal. Gilberto, Otamendi, Morato, and Grimaldo. Weigl, Paulo Bernard, and João Mário in the midfield. Rafa, Darwin, and Seferovic. 3 changes from the last game. Vlaco Dimos came back after being out for COVID. Paulo Bernardo made his debut in a starting team, and Darwin, which had been injured with that cut in his foot, also came back. Yeah, that was a puncture. A puncture.
It was a puncture, bro.
If that was your tire, you would have had to call AAA.
Yeah, he did. You think those cleats are gonna wind up in a museum when he gets sold for 35 million and they make him a superstar?
There's blood on them, of course. Oh. They're memorable.
He died a hero.
So Paulo Bernardo made his debut like everybody was clamoring for.
His debut.
His starting debut.
Okay.
Everybody was clamoring for that, and I got to be honest, I don't think the experiment went that well for Verissimo. First of all, he had him deployed on the wing, interior right, in the middle. The kid was all over the place, and I think that he didn't. The fact that Benfica played poorly didn't help him much. So for all those guys clamoring for Paulo Bernardo to start, maybe Verissimo needs to go back to the drawing board and work on that a little more.
I got a better advice.
No, Alfredo, it's bad luck. It's bad luck. When our youth product have bad games, it's bad luck. It's nothing to do with them. It's bad luck. But if we get these international players making those same mistakes, then we're chasing them out the door, though. But he's still young, man. He's still young. It's his first starting 11, but we also can't put those high expectations like we've been seeing on Twitter that him and Gonçalo Ramos are going to be the saviors of this club. This club's in shambles right now. Not two young individuals like them are going to change this club around, at least this season. There's still so much cancer and dead wood in this locker room that unfortunately these young guys aren't going to change it until those cancer cells are removed.
That was my advice. Grab him and Gonzalo, make them starters on the B team.
Yeah. No, but Dave, you bring up a great point. It's not the two inexperienced kids that are going to carry this team. I mean, you would have to be extremely special player, and those things don't happen all the time. Maybe we had Renato who was an immediate impact to this team, and carried that midfield. And we had João Felix, which you could say a lot of Lage's success fell on the fact that João Felix is the player that he is. But you can't hope that you're going to have these extraordinary gifted players that are going to help you every time. It's just not going to happen.
Bro, the difference is this, Alfredo. When you got those types of players, you mentioned Renato Sanchez, you mentioned Felix, even Felix. Renato Sanchez came up and he started right away. Felix didn't start for half the season for one reason or another. Rui Vitória didn't see. He was getting, if Rui Vitória hadn't left, he was going to go lend out to Maritim, right? You have the likes of Ruben Diaz who came up, wasn't even an immediate starter on Benfica. Problem is that those two guys are phenomenal players and they can start, and they were an addition to the club. These guys that we're talking about, no one's saying that they're not going to be first team players someday, but the people that are clamoring for these guys to be in the starting lineup today, those are the people that make me laugh. And then they're the same people that come out and criticize whoever the coach is at the time because Benfica's not getting the results. Well, you can't expect to get the best results when you're playing with players that aren't ready to play at this level. And I said it to you when you try to give me the phenomenal
or played out of position,
beautiful stats of Verissimo on the B team, right? I say the same thing with the players. B team is exactly that. It's the B team. It's the Segunda Liga. There's a reason why there's levels, right? 4th division, 3rd division, 2nd, and 1st. There's levels, just like in football, just like in big boy soccer, just like in athletes and evaluating players. There's levels. These guys are phenomenal at a certain level. They're not ready for the next level. No one's complaining. I would never tell you not to give these kids some minutes, not to give them some experience on the main squad, but to come on here week in, week out, and come out with posts and dumb tweets and whatever the hell it is that these guys should be starting today because they're the one. Bro, you guys are the first ones to go into the freaking stadium and wave your white handkerchiefs when things don't go your way. So if you're going to expect Benfica, if you're going to request and demand that Benfica play these young kids, you got to give the club time.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna develop these kids, let them play for 1-2 years. Hey, second place is a plus, but third place is what we should expect. Don't expect Benfica to be fighting for titles, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Don't complain.
But I'll also ask you this, Cristiano, and now that the season seems to be over, and what you were mentioning before, let young players come in and use this half a season to develop. Is that where you stand in terms of Ramos and Bernardo?
No, but Alfredo, you forget one thing. The season is over in terms of fighting for first team. Fighting for the championship. Yeah, that part of the season is over. But don't forget a club like Benfica, any club in Portugal, right? Benfica, Porto, and Sporting. Braga is the team on the outside that comes in and muddles the playing field once in a while. But these teams need Champions League football. Benfica doesn't have the luxury of just, we're going to bring up the kids and we're going to play the kids because our season is over. And then they finish in 4th and they don't even get to play in that qualifier next season for the Champions League because those 40 million plus are a must for these clubs to be able to get their finances in order and put their seasons together for the following year. So it's not over in terms of a Champions League spot. They still have the responsibility of, at the very least, staying ahead of Braga. And now, would you risk that by wanting to play kids and developing them? And then all of a sudden, hey, they're not as ready as we thought. We tied a bunch of games. Now Braga's on our ass. Now a little slip up here and there. And here we go. Ciao, Champions League. You can't run that risk.
Okay.
I mean, I'm asking. That's my opinion.
No, I understand, but I was good. Just going back to your conversation before when Lage took over and the season seemed done, right? And he bet on all these young kids, and it turned out good. So I was asking you if we follow the same route or we follow the same approach that we had back with Lage in terms of introducing kids that have the potential to be on the A team.
Well, when we say he played kids, Lage played what? He threw Ferro in there, right? Florentino and João Felix. He still had a team with Luizão. He still had a team with Jonas. He still had a team with a lot of players that we don't have on this team.
Yeah. I'll take Jonas on with one leg only over any of the forwards that we have right now.
I mean, do we? I don't even know what to say.
Anyway,
man. Look, this team, we've said it over, and I know I've said it over and over. There is no creativity.
No,
in this team.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You talk about that all the time, right?
All the time.
Would you say that Waldschmidt was a creative player that could take players one-on-one?
No.
Would you say that Pedrinho is a creative player that could take players one-on-one?
He is, but we're talking about in terms of what he did at Benfica. He did it a couple games. Now, blame it on the coach. The guy that
if you're looking at his profile, right, and you did a scouting report on both players, would you say they're players that have one-on-one skills?
I expected a lot more out of Waldschmidt. I did. I expected a lot more. I thought Waldschmidt was more of a second forward, closer to a 10, but he was more of just a forward. He was a guy that
you can shoot from the outside.
Yeah, but that's fine. But he didn't have that playmaking. I thought he was a guy that, like a Jonas, that could play in between the lines, that could 1-2 off a guy, play off a guy. And I expected more out of Waldschmidt, to be honest with you. So, you want to tell me, is he better than Seferovic? No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're always saying that we lack players that have creativity. And if you look at the players that were on this roster, those were two guys that have creativity.
A little bit. But Pedrinho didn't really play. Waldschmidt's got more creativity than Seferovic. If that's what you're asking, then the guys that we're playing now, yes. But I don't think it's...
I'm not even talking about a forward. I'm talking about maybe from either a second forward or a midfielder that could take players on. Because right now, who do we have?
We haven't had
We have one player that could do that.
We haven't had it since Jonas left.
Yeah.
We haven't had it.
Yeah.
Rafa does it on the counter. Same thing with Darwin. When these guys get on their horse, they're beating. At least in the Portuguese league, they're beating a lot of their opponents. But we don't have a guy that actually has the ball at his feet. He's able to take a guy on one-on-one, pick up his head, pick out a pass. There's only one guy, and everybody hates him. And he's on the trees. It's apparently he's on the block to be sold. That's it. It's the only guy on the roster.
Benfica wants 5 million for Tarabt. Well, this. Estás maluco, pá.
Pois, I agree, tá pouco.
Do you think now that there's been a change at the top and Rui Costa is now the president, and say what you want about Vieira and his shady business, but do you think the club is struggling now to sell some of these deadwood players because we've kind of lost those connections with Vitoria's or not Vitoria, Vieira's connections?
You got a couple things. You got a couple things going. Number one, the market is hard for everyone because of COVID, because clubs haven't made the revenue that they were expected. That's number one. Number two, you really haven't increased the value of these players in the past year.
How do you expect to sell somebody that's sitting on the sidelines? You don't play him all the time. Like, bro, he sucks for you, but yeah, you want to unload him on me for 5 million. No thanks.
Well, but I mean, that's not even. I mean, when you look at these players, what players have really increased value?
Darwin.
You could say Verissimo.
Gilberto.
Right?
He has Gilberto, 100%.
Darwin is
Darwin has
semi-increased his value.
He has.
He has increased his value, you think?
The problem with Darwin is a lot of Jekyll and Hyde, right? He's way too inconsistent. But when he's on, he's been terrific, and he's won his games in the Champions League, and he's done well. So I think his value right now is very high. I just think, the clubs on the outside are going to look at a guy that's an absolute horse, and the rest of the team is just on a shit streak, and they're just going to blame everyone else, and they're still going to think highly of Darwin. But I mean, Darwin raised his value. Verissimo's raised his value. Gilberto's raised his value. I'm not
Murato. You could say Murato also,
but he hasn't gone.
But he's still super duper young.
We're talking about guys that have played actual meaningful minutes.
And guys that European clubs.
Rafa, he keeps his.
If he hasn't left Benfica now or by now, he's not going to leave Benfica to a bigger club.
I mean, the other guy that raised his value, Andre Almeida, he proved that he could play center back. You know what I mean? The guy
polyvalent.
We always call him polyvalent.
Anyway, so this Moreirense game.
Somebody said Weigl. One of the Freddy Diogo Reis said Weigl.
Yeah.
Do you think his value?
No, I think Weigl's.
We can make a profit off him, right?
Yeah,
he can make a profit because he's a German international. But he had a real good start to the season. Lately, he's been there. I'm not saying
a lot of games.
There's a difference between. I'm not saying he's been bad, right? He's been steady, but I don't think he's raised his value. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, raise your value. You're playing well. I don't think he stood out.
But I think we still get more than what we paid for.
Yeah, I think
isn't that increasing your value?
We paid 20.
We get 20. We'll be happy.
Yeah, I think that if you get more than 20, I'd be happy with that. About the Moreirense game, Sapinto came to the Luz with a defined tactic, and that was just park the bus and try to frustrate Benfica, cut out the lanes on the interior, and really force Benfica to play from the outside. I think that is probably at the end of the game, Benfica had 40 crosses. That was probably the most crosses that I've ever seen Benfica have in one game. 40 crosses. And I think that out of those 40 crosses, maybe 2 or 3 found the head of a Benfica player. All others ended up at Steven Vitoria's head. And whatever that other dude was.
I congratulate you, Alfredo, for blocking out all those games under Rui Vitoria, because those games were only crosses when Vitoria was, So I'm sure there was a 40 cross game in there under Vitoria, but yeah, this game was definitely hard on the eyes.
No, all this time, and it just, I'm like many of you, I'm watching the Benfica game and I'm completely numb, right? I can't generate any type of emotion in terms as I'm watching this game. I really can't. I'm incapable of having emotions when I'm watching Benfica. That's how numb I am. And it's amazing that 85% or 90% of the teams that we play in the Liga B play in the same manner. Drop their lines, albeit perhaps not with the parked bus. And if there's a plan A and a plan B for the team, you have to work tactically against a team that's going to sit in front of their box, because most of the teams that Benfica will play in this manner. And the fact that we don't have any solutions to combat teams that play like this is just, I don't know.
But Alfredo, Dave, didn't I give this solution to beating Benfica, like the tactics, a few months ago, which was just sit back, give them the ball. They'll trip on themselves. When you give Benfica space, when you attack Benfica, when you try to possess the ball, and Benfica is able to rip it from you and come on a counter, that's the only time Benfica's that's when they're at their best. They don't have nobody. Those clubs, they're smart. Maybe they listen to the Benfica podcast. Give Benfica the ball and just set your lines.
But most teams are going to do that.
It's like the war back in the days. They set the first guys with the picks, right? And then the other guys with the arrows in the back, and they had 2 different lines. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Benfica's not getting through that.
It's just, I don't know. The team going through the motions. When you look at this team and there's no urgency, the ball seems to be moving slow from side to side with Verissimo than it was with JJ. We always heard JJ yelling, now it's just like, I don't know. It's just the team going through the motions. You can't nothing excites me about this team.
Maybe they don't hear this guy from the sideline.
That's good. He's too soft spoken, you think?
JJ was too hard, and they heard, like, the opposition even heard the tactics. These guys, they don't hear, because that hurt their egos. So this guy speaks slow because he doesn't want to hurt them. Speaks slow, and they don't hear him.
Yeah, but it's just amazing. I don't have the stats on me, but it's not even worth revisiting. But I think in the first half, Benfica had 77% of the possession. I don't know how it finished, but it was an awful first half. And
74%.
And even a worse second half. That you look at this team and you're like, oh no, here we go again.
What was more painful, tying Moreirense or tying Sapinto?
Sapinto for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. I would have taken a tie against Moreirense any time of the day rather than the Sapinto. And look, there was anti-jogo, a lot of stoppage, a lot of burning time. I thought that the own goal was preceded by an offside.
That was offside.
That wasn't called.
Offsides. I don't want to cry about it, but that's offside.
And here's the thing: you can complain about all these things, right? The anti-jogo, the offside, the foul that was called that was not supposed to be called. But when you don't play jack shit, you got no leverage. You got no leverage to bring up these arguments because Had you played at least 20% better or half of what your capabilities are, you would have won this game. No problem. But the fact that you played like shit and then you have the balls to kind of excuse that, oh, VAR, yes, VAR should have called that, and that should have never been a goal. But up until this point, you weren't really doing much to even be up in the scoreboard. Nothing at all. That's why, guys that find these excuses, I get it, man, and they're valid. But when you don't play jack shit, all these excuses, all they sound like is a wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, you see this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
I don't know if
I
you
was
and
saving that one,
Timo
Dave.
spoke
I was
about it.
saving
You were saving that
I was
last-
saving that one.
for at the end of my
No,
speech?
for a little while later, but not now.
Hey.
Go ahead, Dave.
I don't know if you and Timo spoke about it last week. I was dropped off here and there, but this is now the second week that our official Twitter account has posted something about not getting the right calls. The
And I
first
like
week,
that.
I believe there was the. You like that? I'm gonna go the opposite way. I'm
Dave,
gonna say
I like that, but
it
here's the
looks
thing.
childish. It looks childish.
But here's the thing, right? I like that, but
Agora-
do it from the beginning of the season. Be consistent.
No,
in what
I
you're
don't
putting in.
like that.
No,
I
because
don't
you know
like
why?
It looks. It
Porto
makes
does
us look childish.
Porto does it. Sporting does it.
And it makes them look childish
Yeah,
too.
but
It's
you know what
everything
my-
that's wrong with Portuguese soccer right now,
Dave,
and we're just feeding into it.
Dave, well, you know what my mom says?
Que no chora no mama.
That's exactly what she says.
She never said that to me.
Que não chora. A minha mãe.
That's
Never,
A
but
tua mãe, se calhar, já disse isso a ti. Que não chora no mama.
Yeah.
But
I
if
mean,
you want,
Que no mama no. What is it? Que no chora no mama.
yeah, if you want to publicly show indignation in terms of things that happen that are clearly they're
Look.
not fair, they don't make sense, from the beginning of the season, start.
I agree with Dave. I actually agree with Dave because
no.
I don't.
It makes us look
Yes,
so
it
childish
makes
and
the
so
league.
poor.
It makes the league looks childish, right? In the United States, in every other league, the team comes out and complain, they get fined big, and it ain't no €300 fine. It's a big time fine. It makes the league look childish. It makes the league look like it's played out. It makes the league look like it's rigged. It looks like a bunch of kids in a playground. Now, I agree with you at the same point, which is if you're gonna do it from the beginning. Not when it's 4th and 58. You know what I mean? Hey, look, they're still in the game. The Giants are still in the game, right? They're still in it, but it's 4th and 58, bro. And they got Dak at quarterback. The odds are things aren't going to work out fine. So you got to do it from the get, man. But at the same time, I'm with you, Dave. I think it makes the league look silly. It puts everything into question. It turns this bitter rivalry between fans among, it's just a whole shit show.
But I mean, how many times have we seen the crying by Porto and Sporting,
but
and all of a sudden
Porto-
they're getting calls?
But that's not what me and Dave are saying, that they shouldn't be allowed. The minute they come out and cry,
Nobody
they
should
get
be
fined.
allowed.
Exactly. That's what we're saying.
But why shouldn't we do it since the other ones do it?
I don't like that. I don't like that mentality. I don't like that. I thought we had some higher values here with the club, and I don't like that. It's fine if you get Joe from the Casa posting it, and that's what Twitter's for us fans. But when you have the official club of the top club in Portugal doing it, just I don't like the look. And sure, the other clubs are doing it, but you would hope that we don't have to stoop to their level to get what we want. But I don't like it, and it looks like that's what we're just going to keep doing now from the rest of the season.
Yeah, but you see, Hugo agrees with me. The corrupt club up north has won many games because of these complaints.
But again, that's
But
not
honestly,
Dave,
do you
don't
think
understand what we're
Benfica is
saying.
gonna? Do you think anything's gonna change though? Because Benfica now has an active Twitter presence. Do
It
you think
will.
we're gonna get these calls?
Dave, sadly,
It's too late.
Sadly, it will, but it's too late. They should have done it from the beginning. But I am with you, Dave. No one should be allowed to do it. The minute they do, big time fine. Because it makes the league look like a freaking joke. It makes the league look like the teams are running the league. It makes it look like when you cry, you get calls. For us on the outside looking in, it's just a shit show. So I am 100%. No one should be allowed to do it. But since it does happen, since they are allowed to do it, right, and they don't get fined, they really don't get punished, and if they do, it's like JJ and such sounds like 8 months later they get a 2-game suspension or whatever it is. And so since they do it, Benfica's got to do it from the get-go, not now when they're this part of the season. It just makes you look like, a bunch of sour apples. Makes you look like a bunch of crybabies.
Yeah. Diogo Reis was clamoring about Steven Vitoria's performance. Hey, Diogo, when you're under an I don't know if you could say offensive assault, but when you're under constant attack to your box,
swatting flies, bro.
And you end up defending everything and stopping the other team. Obviously, the defenders are going to look like superstars. So, but I'm not saying he had a bad game. He did well. I think he did his job. But I think that it's a lot easier to stand out when you are playing defense and you're in the constant attack. Because a central defender, his only job is not defending. There's a lot more to it. But I'll give you that he had a good game. Yeah.
Hey, I had somebody DM me that he should be still at Benfica and starting.
Who is that, Neil?
Can't confirm nor deny who it was.
Yeah.
I will say that same person said to me, the way to fix Benfica, make me president, coach, and number 10. And my response was, sure, we'd be the best team in the world, but I guarantee you wouldn't be as bad as things are right now.
Are you messaging yourself off your own burner account?
Yeah. Hey, shut up.
Kevin says that he played motivated. Obviously, I mean, the players are always going to be motivated when you were playing a team that cut you, that thought you weren't any good. I get it.
But look, first of all, Alfredo, you're playing against Benfica. That's enough motivation in itself. But then, as you said, when the team pretty much released you, there's that extra motivation on top.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So let's see. Own goal in the 61st minute. Then in the 65th minute, 1-1 by Darwin, unassisted. Then not much else after that. Just, I don't know. And I mentioned this last week. I hate when the team is just touching the ball in front of the box, trying to do 1-2s to get through 8 players in defense. Shoot the effing ball, man, already.
Mobiqueira, caralho.
Mobiqueirada. Look, you never know when it's going to hit somebody's leg and it's going to go over the keeper. Just hit the ball, man. Hit the ball at the goal.
Hockey, they shoot it low, hope it hits a bunch of skates and goes in. Ricochets and stuff like that. Sometimes you get a lucky bounce.
Yeah. So, tie for Benfica in a game where we couldn't afford to lose points, tie, lose, whatever. And we gave it up. Unfortunately, it is what it is.
I'm going to reach out to Sergio Jafost. We're going to draw up a Benfica podcast t-shirt in the front and the back. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our
That's not a bad idea.
slogan. It is what it is, fellas.
But Isimu's going to want some royalties on that, though. I think he's got that phrase trademarked.
Chris, you got the next topics. Rui Costa interview or Boa Vista preview League Cup? Which one are you going to pick?
Boa Vista.
Let's go with the Boa Vista.
Ora.
Boa Vista League Cup. Benfica will play the semifinal game against Boa Vista in Lydia this upcoming Tuesday, or a week from today as we record this. Probably the only competition that Benfica still has a chance in. What do you think the approach is going to be, Chris?
I'm reading the comments. Say that again. I like the 40 crosses poke. These guys be bugging me up. That's Michael. Welcome, Michael. Timo, vai dar uma volta, pá. Happy birthday.
Poor Michael's coming in midway here, and he's getting confused with how we're handling the segments here. We already recapped the Arouca game.
Yeah. For you guys that are not, we went totally different way. For you guys that are joining us late.
Kind of like Benfica. We all expected to win, and they changed things up on us. So we decided to change things up.
All right, so I'll repeat my question.
Fala.
Being that the Taça da Liga is the only realistic competition Benfica can win, what do you think the approach is going to be to this Boa Vista?
Listen, you're asking me a question.
Or do you think he's going to be saving players to play Arouca? No, wait.
Arouca's
Who's he going to play? Who are they playing after Boa Vista, Dave? Look that up.
It's some.
They have a week off. They might have to play.
No. They play. They might have to play Sporting on the weekend.
If they win, they have to get through Boa Vista. So you asked me a question, but I asked you guys the question: Would you rather lose to Boa Vista or beat Boa Vista and risk the possibility of losing to Sporting in another final of a Taça da Cerveja? That's the tricky question.
I'd rather not lose to Sapinto, period.
But it's not Sapinto. Sapinto's not there. Sapinto's not there.
Regardless, I don't want to lose to Sapinto.
Oh, that's too late. We tied him. We got to wait for the. What is it? That was the second round
Yeah,
already,
that's
right?
a good question though. That's a good question.
Well,
Do we
you.
save players to play Sporting?
What's safe? You got to get through Boavista.
You gotta get. Yeah, there's no saving. We're not. We can't afford that luxury.
Isn't that where you were going? Do we save players?
No, do you rather just lose to Boavista? Say, you know what? Get out of our
spare of you,
or beat Boavista and then go lose to Sporting.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
I don't know any of the Freddies, anybody. I mean, is anyone really like positive or thinking that we're gonna beat Benfica? Confident? Anybody? I mean, Benfica. We can't beat Benfica. Sporting.
Brunjil says, "Don't forget we lose Darwin and Otamendi para Final Four." I'm lost on that one. I don't know why.
I don't think they're.
Se o Bruno diz,
diz, explica isso.
Se o Bruno diz é porque o Bruno sabe, caralho.
How come Darwin and Otamendi are not going to be available for the Final Four?
You guys don't know?
No, I don't.
Maybe something they said back in June, and now they're getting suspended.
Do you know, Cristiano?
Of course.
Vai lá, diz lá.
I don't want to say because then I'm gonna make you guys look bad.
Oh, you see this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
There's a possibility. They're not. I still don't think they're gonna be out, but we'll see what happens. Everybody's.
They will play national team.
Yeah, but I don't think it's happening. There's. I mean, unless it's been confirmed and I missed it. There's a possibility. I think Benfica will request that these guys, show up and play this all important game. I'm just saying.
And the Uruguayan national. Well, I think they might. Is Argentina already pretty much set on the qualifiers or no?
Bro, in a team where there's 10 teams qualifying and 9 of them make the World Cup. I mean, what the hell? I mean, they're pretty much in.
They could afford that. They could afford losing a game. Yeah, that's a good shout. I did not know that.
I mean, it's not
as you guys know me. I don't follow national competitions.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Look.
Think it is? Okay.
Take it easy. They're still. It's not official yet. They might still play.
Okay. We'll just we'll see. Dave, what do you think the approach is? Do we throw the game against Boavista so we spare the embarrassment of Sporting, or do we go all in?
We might,
understanding that this is our saving the one trophy.
We might be disrespecting Santa Clara. Sporting still got to get through Santa Clara first before making it to the finals. There, potential finals with us, but no, we gotta. If this is our only legitimate competition that we're in this year, we have to field our best 11 and hope for the best, because I don't want to go another season without winning the title, even if it's the title of the Taça de Cerveja here.
Yeah. Who's this guy that just popped in the comments?
I don't know.
Saying some bullshit.
I say we don't even give this guy the time of day.
Yeah, but I wish I was on YouTube so I could kick him out.
It's okay.
You sure, Cristiano? It's okay.
Can you kick him out? I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying just ignore him.
It's not okay.
I didn't say it's okay. I'm saying it's okay to ignore him. Just ignore him.
It's okay to ignore him. I don't want anybody.
Okay, could you be? I don't know how to do this stuff on YouTube. I mean, vai dar uma volta, pá.
Deixa eu ver.
Quem é o gajo? Não tem seu nome, vai. Manda para o caralho.
Put this user in timeout.
Yeah, timeout.
Dunsky.
That's it. Já tá? E aqui, Luke Freire?
Number one bullshitter.
Oh, you see this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
I've been saving that.
I saved it. I set you up for you to say that about Hugo, and you hit the fucking air horn.
No, I've been saving that for a reason.
Oh, okay.
You guys keep messing up my mojo.
Yeah.
I got to get my own little box with the sound.
So we'll see what happens on Tuesday, 7:30 in Leiria. Benfica will play Boavista. Because Benfica is playing on Tuesday, we will come on Wednesday, or not.
We're coming.
We're doing podcast on Wednesday.
It's coming home.
It's coming home. Let's see. Last topic. Rui Costa interview.
Last time. Oh, it's the only one? Never mind. I thought we were going to pick and choose again this time.
Number one bullshit guy.
I've been saving this thing. You guys keep blowing it up.
Yeah. So Benfica. All right. I know that. I know that
my mug, my Benfica Independent. Let's talk about this. You know, the Benfica Independent mug. It's beautiful mug. I'd rather talk. These are things that are interesting. See? Benfica Independent is a nice, beautiful mug.
Esta merda cai.
Cai não. Cai, parte. You mean? Olha aí, coisas bonitas. Podes falar de coisas lindas, pá.
Yeah,
coisas...
it's a very nice mug.
Yeah.
And if you're Benfica Independent Patreon and you've signed up for the higher tier, which I think is $5, you get one of these babies.
It's actually more than $5, €5, which is like $33.
Canadian, maybe.
Yeah,
you get one of those babies if you are in the $5 tier.
As you can see, I'm a subscriber. Therefore,
yeah, you are.
I get a mug.
Okay, here we go.
I do.
Chico Marcelino, Rui Felipe Vieira interview was hilarious. And it's funny that you say that because I was talking about the upcoming interview with Timo and I said Rui Vieira. And it was a slip, but obviously, yeah.
Timo, who's that?
I don't know, birthday boy. Anyway, Rui Costa interviewed 3 months after he was voted. He hit on a couple of topics, but look, I'll give you some brief statements, but I'm going to say that this all felt a little bit like a Vieira interview. If you took one guy and you put the other one, the same things would have been said.
You see this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
He was saving that. There it is. No, and it felt like a whole lot of nothing. And I had mentioned on last week's podcast that a few things that I was looking for. Number one was, a clear plan for what the rest of the season was. Number two was to take a definite position in terms of what this whole investigation is going on. And obviously, we know that Benfica's official position has been to remain neutral, even though there was a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of proof that the president was hurting the club. Obviously, Rui Costa says, for the good of Benfica, I hope that nobody is convicted. And that's what he had to say. But I'll go through it. Cartão Vermelho, which was the investigation that we were just talking about. He says that it's an exaggerated media coverage, and media is even talking about wiretaps that have nothing to do with the investigation. And then invoking his past as a player, as a Benfiquista, saying that as a Benfiquista I would never steal from the club. Incapaz de lesar was one of the phrases that he used. That he would be incapable of hurting the club. Then he was asked about the paper that he signed that was out on the internet, and he said, I signed it like any other administrator, but apparently didn't know what he was signing. And the paper that he was signing had a huge, not huge, but had a sizable amount of money. So if you're signing something, wouldn't you question it? Especially because you're going to be on the hook because you signed it. Wouldn't you question it? He also spoke about the audit that he had, the forensic financial audit that he promised the fans will be ready in October. It's not ready in October because all they really did is they analyzed the 3 contracts that they had access to and found no irregularities with the contracts. So they decided to extend the investigation to now cover the 55 other contracts that the public ministry is investigating, right? Why hasn't Benfica considered themselves assistants in the process? He said because the 3 contracts that we investigated, we found nothing wrong, and we felt that Benfica didn't have to have a position of an assistant to the case. And the way I look at this is like, yeah, there's probably nothing wrong with the contract in terms of the terms of the contract. It's 4 million euros for this player, and there's a commission that goes here. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with everything that was in the contract, and now it was done in terms of Benfica, the club. Now, the fact that we were overpaying commissions or overpaying for a player that then generated these commissions that ended up with these agents that then found a way to siphon the money to Luis Felipe Vieira, that's the illegal part of it. But what Ricardo is talking about is the contracts. He saw no irregularities, even though that he was overpaying for players, right? It's like that case of Cristiano is going to
don't throw my name.
No, peraí. Vou dar um exemplo.
No, use Dave.
Cristiano wants to pull up. He wants to put up a pool in his backyard, and he knows more or less it's going to cost him
underground or above ground.
Above ground. Let's go above ground. 5,000 bills to put an above ground pool, right? You know that's more or less.
Am I getting commission?
The guy shows up. Listen, the guy shows up and he says, "I'm going to put a pool. Okay, I'm going to charge you 7,000 euros." And Cristiano said, "Okay." So the guy that sold you the pool, really, the cost is 5,000, but those other 2,000 he's gonna give to somebody else. The guy that gave you his name to come over here and do the pool, for example, the guy that recommended him to you, right? So you understanding that a player's value is X.
So the guy that's doing my pool overcharged me by 2,000.
Okay,
but do I know that he overcharged me?
Okay, peraí. O Tony is your friend. Tony.
What Tony?
You tell Tony, I want to put a pool in my backyard.
Okay.
And Tony goes, "Hey, I know this guy. You could trust the guy. O gajo é português e não sei o quê, faz bom trabalho, blá, 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 blá." O gajo vem aí e diz, "Meu senhor, esta piscina vai lhe custar $7,000. This pool is going to cost you this much."
7,000 pounds.
You knew more or less what the pool cost would be around. But you accepted these $7,000. You pay $7,000. The guy takes $2,000 and goes and gives to your friend Tony for him recommending you. So you actually gave money to Tony. Right. So
not really, mas sim.
Indirectly.
Se não pagasse ao outro, ele não tinha.
Pois. But that's really what's going on. There's nothing illegal about the transaction that you had with the pool guy.
The only thing I'll say is this, man, because you're coming up with too many Tonys and pools, confusing the hell out of me. The thing is
Não
this.
preciso muito.
No, pois é, para mim também não preciso muito. The thing is this. But you have to remember that there's always loopholes that we could play dumb, right? In a whole lot of things. That's all.
Yeah. Look, there was players' prices being inflated, right? And that inflation would eventually siphon to Luis Felipe Vieira, right? So Luis Felipe Vieira would accept a selling price for a player, understanding that in the back you would get a kickback from the sale, right? It's like
there ain't no like. That's the problem.
That's the problem. I'm trying to dumb it down, but everybody gets it.
There ain't no like. He's a president of Sport. Will be Benfica. He shouldn't. Whatever. There's no kickbacks.
So
the story.
Yeah. So now the forensic audit, regardless, the forensic audit seems to be only looking at these deals. Never mind the inflated internet services that you or IT consulting that you paid for that nobody knows what it was for. Never mind Domingos Soares Oliveira paying for his daughter's wedding with Benfica money, regardless of whether he gave it back or not. All these things that need to be analyzed, every single penny that needs to be audited by this auditing firm, which, by the way, has connections to a previous job where Domingos Soares Oliveira was a CEO or was a CFO. They haven't gone that deep. They've only analyzing these contracts.
Look, I'll say this much, man. I don't even want to talk about this, but I'll say this: it is totally plausible, right? That Rui Costa signing a contract, thinking things are on the up and up. As you mentioned, the whole pool stuff. I can't dictate. I can't control what you do with that money once I pay you for the services.
Yeah, but you're being ripped off. You're being ripped off.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But again, there's always a fool born every day, right? There's a fool every day, and so some people.
So in essence, Rui Costa is a fool.
I'm not saying he's a fool because he shouldn't be a fool. See, I could be a fool by you coming to my house and overcharging me for a pool because I'm not a guy that's in the business of construction. I don't know what they really go for. So if you tell me, look, you get in the top of the line and you're really selling me the Russia, the bottom of the barrel, it is what it is. I got caught. I was fooled. I got scooped. It is what it is. Now, in their field, they should be very well aware of who they're making business with, who they're dealing with. But at the same time, I could totally understand him saying, look, I signed a contract, signed off on a contract. We're buying a player, selling a player, whatever the case may be. And then on the other side, the other party decided to go ahead and, bamboozle this money. I can't control that. So, I could see that. It's very reasonable. I don't think it's one of those, out of the ordinary excuses, right? It's very reasonable. Now, you like to think that they do their due diligence. You like to think that they do their homework, and they're able to go through and realize who's what and whatnot. But you can't kill Rui Costa on that one. There's a lot of things you can still get on the guy and criticize him for, but that's one
if he's signing for something, he has to. Yes, he's got to read it. He's got to be responsible. Today, a wiretap came out about the Darwin deal. I don't know if you read that in the paper or not, Chris. But a wiretap between Vieira and Rui Costa about Paulo Gonçalves, and now Paulo Gonçalves intermediated the deal.
When he got 10 million, he got 10 million in commissions.
And Rui Costa apparently, showed some indignation or questioned it. And Luis Vieira said, "Oh, don't even call Paulo Gonçalves. Don't bother calling him on the phone." But anyway,
okay, that's a positive.
Thanks to Michael Gonçalves from Cantinho Benfica for correcting me. He wasn't a CFO. He was the country manager. And the company was acquired and the audit side was dissolved. Yes, the audit side was dissolved. But do you think that the people that went to work for Ernst & Young didn't have connections to Domingos Soares Oliveira? Because at some point they worked for him. But anyway. Look, it's all. Look,
the Benfica as a club, though, is the victim here. Rather, is that correct? Right. Either way, Benfica is the victim because they were overcharged commission, or if there's funds that are leaving the club, Benfica is the victim. They're not the. Yeah. They're not guilty.
Benfica is not guilty. The only person that's being brought up and accused on charges is Luis Vieira and the other agents. But if this was done with the knowledge of other guys that signed the paper, then they could be blamed also. But the thing is that understanding that Benfica, the money was being siphoned out of Benfica, how does Benfica not consider themselves an assistant to the case? That's what baffles me. But anyway, let's move on because I hate talking about that shit. He addressed the whole JJ situation. He recounted the events that happened after the Porto game, right? So Ricardo was spot on in terms of describing what had happened, and then he said that on Monday or Tuesday, JJ had said that PT's you're not playing anymore, and the players took PT's side. And JJ at that time, he met with Rui Costa shortly thereafter, and he felt that he didn't have the conditions to move on because now you got an uprising, and you got the players that are against the coach. What does Rui Costa do? He takes the player side. He takes the player side as a leader of a club, and if your intent is to remain with Jorge Jesus, you put those players in their place. They're professionals. We pay you a lot of money.
Very a lot of money.
We pay you a lot of money for you to play a sport that you like. So do as you're told. So he says that JJ was not fired by the players. I think JJ was fired by the players.
Well, how can you say that you stand by the players and then go and fire?
Well, yeah, because JJ left because there was no more connection between him and the players. He felt that at that point he had lost the locker room when the players in front of Rui Costa took Pizzi's side and Rui Costa allowed it.
So he's saying JJ quit. He's not saying that JJ was fired. He's saying JJ quit.
Both him and JJ came to an agreement that JJ didn't. Now that he's lost the locker room, he didn't have the conditions to continue.
Okay.
That's how he explained it. But he said that the players weren't fired by Rui Costa. I mean, the players weren't fired. Oh, JJ wasn't fired by the players. Sorry, I'm trying to read comments and speak at the same time. In regards to the Flamengo incident, and here's another thing. Rui Costa said that he authorized JJ to meet with Flamengo so that JJ could tell him that he's no longer interested, so all the speculation would stop. That was the reason why. Go talk to the guy. Go have a meeting.
See this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
So that was the reason why he said that I allowed JJ to go meet with the Flamengo guy, because he needed to assume a position in front of the president, face to face, saying that I'm not interested.
The phone because the phone was down. The text messaging service was down.
Because Rui Costa claims that JJ's phone was blowing up with the Flamengo guys, that it would not stop. So
that's like if you have like a girlfriend and her ex-boyfriend is telling her to come over. Okay, you go over, but just to say, don't do anything, just to tell him you're not interested. Yeah, what the fuck is going on with this club here?
Yeah. So in the year 2022, with phones and texts and whatever, you can't send a message to the guy.
Camera phones.
I'm not. Yeah, he could have FaceTimed them. Oi,
ai, beleza, cara. Vai tomar no cu, okay? Follow.
He also said that the hug with JJ in the press conference was a demonstration of a peaceful exit, which I doubt. JJ will never return to Benfica ever again. I don't know about peaceful exit. There was not a peaceful exit. In terms of Verissimo, he says that he's a house guy, knows the squad, and he's ideal to turn this around. Those were his words. Let me see why wait until the end of the season? Why wait till the end of the season? And he said that we're being cautious. We're being cautious. That was the word. He used couch. The word in Portuguese was couch.
Calcio?
And couch. And I got to be honest with you. I came here when I was 15, and I thought I'd heard every single Portuguese word, and I had never heard of the word couch. And I actually had to look it up.
Like couch?
Couch. Like cautious, but without the I and the U.
Couch.
Couch.
He's giving a hint on where he's going to hire his next manager.
Eu dizia muito couch quando a minha mãe me dava com a vassoura. Couch, mas era só, mais nada. Couch, nunca ouvi falar dessa merda.
Yeah. What else? He said that the future will be a mix of formation and experienced players. Immediately, you'd like to reduce the size of the squad, likes it short, because one of the objectives of the squad is to allow for bringing up players from within and create space for promotion. What else? And then
did he use the famous line?
What's the famous line?
Nós estamos 10 anos à frente.
No, did not use that.
Oh, okay, so that's good. All
did not use that, but he did say that there was going to be some stadium improvements. I know that that makes Hugo happy. LED lights, bigger screen, renewed chairs, sound system, all being done by the end of 2020.
You have to understand that is a very calculated on their part, because they have to make sure everything in the stadium is tip top, right? Very best, so we the fans could, entertain ourselves, because what's going on the field is not very entertaining. So smart thinking by him.
Yeah,
people to come out. Maybe get a recliner. You know what I mean? And you get to sit back. What do you think, Dave?
It could be.
Hey, if the product on the field isn't working, at least make the
at least make it comfortable, right?
Exactly. So smart thinking by him.
And after 3 months, he said that in these past 3 months, he's gotten to know the club better, especially in areas where he wasn't involved before.
But wait, he's been there since he's 9 years old.
Oh, you see this guy? See this guy? Number one bullshit guy.
Yeah. So and then at the end he comes out with that Benfica has plans to create this Cidade do Benfica, which is a complex that would house current Seixal, modalidades, a training center, a high competition training center for other athletes, and this is something that Benfica is looking at. So instead of giving the fans really what the plan is for this team, the plan is to put up some more infrastructures. Look, an interview with very little substance that, like as I mentioned, you could have put Luis Felipe Vieira there and it was the same guy. The interview itself, it's funny because some people say that it was unscripted, but he mentioned certain things in the beginning in the interview, and he said, no, we're going to talk about that future down the line. So he already knew what the subject was going to be or what they were going to touch up on.
In his defense, he's only been there 3 months. You know what I mean? He hasn't had any time to change the toilet paper yet. Guy's only been there a few months. So exactly. He's got to get his own people in there and make his own laws and regulations, and hopefully he gets to change this Benfica around because things aren't pretty right now. So I mean, look, a shitload of people voted for him, Dave. You got to give him some type of time.
I heard him mention Texter. Was there anything of substance to that, or
no? He said that the conversations with Texter are ongoing and being analyzed to see if it's good for the club.
But here's the question. I think, look, first of all, I think we should get Texter on here on the podcast. All jokes aside, because do any of us, does anybody really know what it is that Texter is bringing to the club? What he wants to do? What is it that he's bringing to the club that we must have?
Yeah,
besides, ching 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 money.
Chris, get on the horn, man. Let's get Texter on the podcast.
Okay, we'll get him on the podcast.
Anyway. So nothing. He started with the hardest subject, and then he worked through his the easiest subjects. So I don't know. What'd you think? Dig Italy. Peraí, fala aí, Cristiano.
I'm ready to go to sleep.
Chris was supposed to be done at 10 o'clock today.
Yeah, I didn't even want to do the podcast. I don't know, Dave. Look, I think there's a lot to chew on there. Obviously depends on which side you sit in. You could be very critical. You could be very supportive. We're not content with the way things are going at Benfica right now. Obviously, at the end of the day, the thing that's most important to any of us here on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure all the Freddies checking this out, are the results on the football pitch, not the results on the basketball court, on the roller hockey and the volley. It's on the actual football pitch. That's what we care about. And I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here because obviously it's a lot easier to pile on, and I can see everybody's pretty much dumping on the guy, but he just got there 3 months ago. He won this vote with 80% of fan support. Got to give the guy a little bit of time, and hopefully he's able to turn things around, and we could sit here and talk about the Magico. The Maestro.
Are you being serious? Or are you just being?
You know me. I'm trying to be different.
Are you trying to be different?
Yeah, you know me. I like to be different.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing. I was telling Timo.
Benfica killed positive.
I was.
Right,
yeah.
Morreu.
I just think that he missed a good opportunity to earn some points, and I think he just buried himself a little bit more because it was more of the same. It was more of the same Vieirismo that we have seen all these years. It was like, the some of the faces change, but the Vieirismo continues. So I don't know, man. Cristiano and I said that after he was elected president, we were just going to support. But we're headed in a path where we really don't see any improvement. And I know that it's only been, it's been more than 3 months, right? Because he was appointed.
No, October to November, December, January. It's 3 months.
No, but he was the president before that. He was the interim president.
He was the stand-in. You know what I mean?
Stand-in.
Yeah, stand-in.
Didn't have any say.
He was like the substitute teacher. He was there trying to reinforce the rules and regulations.
Wasn't signing any papers.
Yeah, well, he was, but he wasn't reading the fine print.
No, okay. It's just one of those things. I don't know what you guys thought, but it just really offered nothing. I thought he missed a really good opportunity to speak to the fans, to tell the fans about what the plan is for Benfica. And I thought that the timing to announce the Cidade de Benfica, I thought there was, in a time where your club is in a crisis, where your club is being, or people that were connected to the club,
that makes sense though,
were investigated.
We went from practice facility to a hospital to a bridge to an airport that they're, I think, trying to build. Now you need a city to go along with. Then after that is the fire department, police department. You need to build a whole city. Dave?
Don't forget the barber and the liquor store.
The liquor store.
We need a church too.
We already have a church.
Church is tax deductible.
We already have a church, Dave.
At Seychelles.
No, the Luz, man.
I think there's a church somewhere, and I think there was. If I'm not mistaken, and maybe Chico Marcelino can correct me, Margarida Pietro, which was Manel Damasio's wife, she was the one that created the church, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Chico, can you confirm? Or any of you guys
confirm on next week's pod, but this is going too long.
Cristiano said 35, 40 minutes the most. It's 1 hour and 27 minutes. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Long?
An hour and 27 minutes. Let's wrap it up. Next week we'll be back. I'm not sure yet whether it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how we feel, or we might not come back at all.
No, that would be best.
We'll be back.
Chico Marcelino says that's way too deep for me. The before Manuel Damasio. Chris está com sono. Tens razão, pá. Michael Gonçalves. Yeah, he's still on a different time zone. Dirty Jersey.
In a different universe. It's in that alternate positive universe of his.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Desiludido, pá.
Isto é uma.
Eu estou com estatuto, como é que era? Como é que era a palavra, pá?
Cauto.
Estou com cauto que tu não imaginas, pá.
And congratulations to Peter for hosting the Benfica FM podcast this week.
Peter, my man, but jack of all trades, all those guys, phenomenal guys. By the way, right here, Benfica FM t-shirt. If you like it, subscribe, order it. Picado did a great job with this. The sweats. You got the Caneca. I've been telling Alfredo we got to do something here for Benfica Podcast.
That's some show.
But some
yeah. This month we will celebrate our 10th year. This month, later on this month. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. All the Freddies in the chat, very active. Thanks for taking the time and keeping us company for sure. And much like you, we're suffering. We really are. And it hurts. It hurts to it hurts to support a team like this. And this is not the Benfica that I grew up watching. This is not the Benfica that got me excited on game days to watch the game and watch the team play. I just can't identify with this team right now, and I'm sure a lot of you can't either.
Yeah, if we don't come on here next week, it's Tuesday or Wednesday, just go listen to a podcast 2 years ago. We were saying all this thing.
It's been rough, man.
What's worse,
I'm not gonna
watching the games or actually having to come do the podcast afterwards?
Tying Sapinto is probably the worst.
That was bad. That's pretty bad. But you better be careful because o gajo dá-te murro nas trombas.
Dá murro nas trombas. Não seria o primeiro. No, it's just it's been hard, and I know that everyone is suffering and everyone is hoping that we could turn this around. I just don't see any end in sight. Do we have like sentimental music, like some piano and shit?
Nice, met-me dormir.
All right, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. We will see you next week. Take care, everyone. Então, mete aí esse pá.
Epá, pera, eu estou a dormir, mas tens.